to the relatives, Mr. Scott Reed said if the judge decides that there is sufficient cause to resume the inquest, he or she will decide the scope of the inquest. If the decision is made that there is a sufficient cause to resume the inquest, then the inquest may be limited in scope to determining the cause of death and the circumstances in which each cause of death arose. So in other words, they'll say, well, they died from an explosion after their heart stopped, and that'll be good enough. Not who caused the explosion or why or what's really going on. Let's see. He said the judge may allow a wider investigation into whether the state failed to protect the lives of the victims in the style of the Diana inquest, another cover-up. But Graham Fox, whose son David was killed in the blasts, said he has made it clear that the judge is no longer obligated to take notice of our views, and that it was and that's what upset him. Yeah, basically it's a big cover-up. Not a big shock, but it is a big old cover-up. And, you had to know it was coming because it's that same international crime cartel that carried out 9/11, that carried out 7/7, that carried out Waco, that carried out, let's be honest, these attacks in Mumbai, the Madrid bombings. You know, it sucks that these are the guys that are behind it, but it's the reality. It's where the evidence lies. Look into it. All right, let's take our first caller. Let's go to Mark in Wisconsin. Mark, you're on the line.
Hey, Jason. I was the whole thing with the supposed terrorist plot in New York. No surprise there. Pretty disgusting, but no surprise.
Yes.
But I was actually going to ask you if, and I don't know if you know if Alex would be down for this or not, but I don't see why not. I was actually going to ask you guys if you'd be willing to donate like one of each of the Infowars library to my local library in my town.
What are you talking about, the best of stuff, or are you talking about just an audio CD with MP3s on it? I'm not quite sure.
Like any of the Infowars DVDs or any of the books you guys carry, just because I was thinking about it, and this is my logic. I live in a college town. There's UWO right here. I'm sure there are a lot of reports and everything that get done. So people are going to go to the library, right? And for all this stuff, they're going to go there and they're going to just do keyword searches and shit for random topics. Well, here you go, keyword search, bam. Now all this information is out there that wasn't there before. And that's a completely new side, of that information that many people...
You know what, Mark? Hit me up on MySpace. Give me an address, and I will send you some DVDs from the back. You got it. No problem. You got it, brother.
Sweet, thanks.
You got it. All right, I'll talk to you later. Let's go to Robert in Texas. Robert, you're on the line.
Hey, what's going on?
How you doing, sir?
Oh, pretty good. Well, I just wanted to ask a couple things, or something, and then... the first thing I wanted to ask was, have you heard of DCA?
It doesn't ring a bell off the bat.
It's a drug. Basically, there's a website online that they're running about it. It's an old drug. It's been around for about 50 years or so, and apparently it was used to treat a genetic disorder in children. And well, they found out that along with that effect, it also has a property that causes it to fight cancer.
Okay.
It's really, 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 really effective. The only thing is the FDA doesn't want to approve it for that kind of treatment unless they go through clinical trials. I'm sure you know how the pharmaceutical companies and all that.
Yeah, it's almost impossible, especially if your drug works.
Yeah, and they're trying really hard. There is some people up in Canada who actually picked it up. They're trying to fund trials. I know that they have already started those trials, but I haven't seen any really new, interesting updates on their page yet. But I think there's I actually got a virus, so I don't have the old bookmark, but it's the DCA site or something like that. You can find it on Google. It's really, really interesting. It apparently is extremely effective. It gets people who are terminal and just going crazy, can't sleep, tasting weird stuff. It turns all their symptoms around. It gets rid of all that, and it makes their tumors shrink and stuff. So I just thought that was interesting. It may not be what you were talking about, but
no, I'll definitely check it out. Definitely an interesting call. I thank you for the call, my man. All right, some other news I've got in front of me. The Pope is getting hip and with it, Miley Cyrus style. No, he's not talking about the cyberbullying act. He's on Facebook. He's trying to woo the young believers, a la Jonas Brothers, I think. I mean, this is it. Facebook with the Pope, with Ratzinger. Could there be a scarier person on Facebook? I'm sure there could maybe be some creepier dudes, But he is really, I mean, he looks like the emperor. Am I the only one who sees that? Is there anyone else out there? I mean, look at the picture they're using, too. Him out through the globe. Instead of like the black robe, it's the white robe, and he's got the little hat thing going on. You won't get an email saying Pope Benedict added you as a friend, and you can't poke him or write on his wall, but the Vatican is still keen to use the networking site Facebook to woo young people back to the church. A new Vatican website, www.pope2u.net. Pope2u. Jaren's like running into the back right now to go over there. I wonder, really, Jaren? I didn't know you were that religious. Has gone live, offering the application called The Pope Meets You on Facebook, and another allowing the faithful to see the Pope's speeches and messages on their iPhones or iPods. Vatican 2.0. Here we go. The Vatican's World Communications Day this Sunday is devoted to communicating the gospel with new techniques. We recognize that the church does not communicate ceases to be a church, said Monsignor Paul Tai, Secretary of the Vatican's Social Communications Department. Many young people today are not turning the traditional media like newspapers and magazines anymore for information and entertainment. It is the cyber age, and the Pope is hopping on the bandwagon, surfing the web. Here we go, Pope style. Oh, boy. Recession turns malls into ghost towns. Well, you had to see this one coming. Without jobs and, money and homes, and you're losing your car and your pensions, it's going to be tough to stay at the shop and stop. Malls, those ubiquitous shopping meccas that sprang up in the 1950s, are dwindling in number. Many struggling properties reduced to largely vacant shells. On the low-income east side of Charlotte, North Carolina, the 1.1 million square foot Eastland Mall recently lost a slew of key tenants, including a Dillard's and next month a Sears. Sales per square foot at the venue fell to $210 in 2008 from $288 in 2001. The Metcalf South Shopping Center in Overland Park, Kansas, is languishing after plans to redevelop it in an open-air shopping district fizzled. And a lot of these are probably going to shut down when they have to go green, too, just like all those other things. I mean, folks, the malls are just going to be one of the first things to go. Mark my words. It kind of sucks, though. Hey, whatever. No one wanted to listen. No one wanted to say, hey, they're wrecking the economy. No, it wasn't by design. No one wanted to stand up against the bailout. They all wanted to applaud Glenn Beck and Sean Hannity when it was tax day. Makes me sick. Let's see what we got here. U.S. aims to mend rich-poor climate split. The United States will try to persuade rich and poor countries to share the burden of fighting climate change next week, with a big U.S. pledge to cut greenhouse gas emissions likely to help mend ties. Washington will hold talks among major economies, including China, the European Union. Oh, the European Union. No, it's not about a Eurasian Union and a North American Union and a European Union. It couldn't be about that, right? India, Russia, and Japan in Paris on May 25th and 22nd, 25th and 26th, to search the common ground on issues such as how to cut fossil fuel use and promote clean technologies. The United States wants tough midterm targets for developed countries to cut emissions, twinned with significant actions by poorer nations to slow their rising emissions. See, here's how it's going to work. All of a sudden, they won't be able to have what's remaining in factories in this country and other first world nations, and they'll further move it to third world nations. But in turn, they'll make them even broker because they won't be able to keep up with the emission standards. It's a big scam. I mean, oh my goodness. You don't think you're going to pay a carbon tax? It is here. It is on the way. That carbon tax will be in place probably before this administration gets out of office. Pretty scary. Pretty scary. And if that weren't scary enough, this is out of the Austin American Statesman, I believe. And right here locally in Texas, health department offers shots so low-income students can meet school vaccination requirements. You see, if your excuse you just can't afford those vaccinations, don't worry. We got a free program to give your kids the delicious vaccinations they need to come into our brainwashing institutions. So come on down. To help incoming 7th graders meet a new state vaccination requirement, see 7th graders. Yes, to be 12 or 13 again, literally almost becoming a teenager and have new state vaccination requirements.